Good evening, everyone. We're just about to start. I'm just waiting one more minute till we become 6:15 and we can get started. Please let me know if you cannot hear me. I think it should be all set up fine, but just in case. All right. Perfect. We are right on time. Good evening once again. For those who doesn't know me, my name is Alex. I'm a volunteer of Paul Stephen Spiritist Center. And today we will be talking about chapter 17 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. I would like to welcome you all. If you have any questions, I think we do have like a little box in there at the end. What I'll try to do, if we have any questions, we can answer as well. But if you don't have anything, that's fine as well. All right, to get started, usually what I like to do, I like to concentrate and I like to say a prayer. And the way how I do it, I like to close my eyes. So you're more than welcome to also close your eyes, or you can keep your eyes open, whatever you feel comfortable. All right, let's start taking a deep breath. And let's elevate our thoughts in our Master Jesus. Elevate our thoughts into the spirits who guide us, who protect us, especially Paul Stephen, the angel guardians of our house, Paul Stephen, the Spirit Center. And let's take this opportunity to thank for the week that we have had, to thank for the house that we live, thank for the food, for the clothes, for the family, for our friends, for the situation, the COVID situation, which is improving day by day. Hopefully soon it will be all over, not only in Australia, but in all the other countries as well. And let's acknowledge the guys at the Torres Strait Island who have been in this land before us. Let's pay our honors to the owners of the land. And to get started, I would like to say our Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. But lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. So be it. Thank you. All right. Always, I like to also mention and I like to show we always based on the gospel according to the Spiritism written by Allan Kardec. You may find some different versions or different covers out there. Also, there is copies online which you can just jump on Google, type it up, Gospel According to Spiritism. If you would like to read a little bit more, it's always handy. So today, as I mentioned before, we are going to talk about chapter 17, which says, "Be perfect," items 5 and 6, which is the parable of the sower. And the topic for today is, "He who has ears, let him hear." Before we actually go a little bit inside and start talking about the parable of the sower, I do need to read a little paragraph of the parable so we can all understand what it talks about in case if you haven't heard before. So, parable of the sower. A sower went out to sow, and as he was sowing, Some of the seeds fell by the wayside, and the birds of the sky came and ate them. Other seeds fell upon stony places, where there was not much earth. They soon sprouted because the soil was not very deep, but when the sun came up, it scorched them, and since they had no roots, they withered. Still, other seeds fell among thorns, and when they began to grow, the thorns choked them. Finally, some seeds fell on good ground, and they produced a crop. Some rendering 100 to 1, others 60, and others 30. He who has ears, let him hear. Hear therefore the parable of the sower. All right, so Jesus, as we know, or Jesus, as we know, he used to talk in parables. And why he used to do that, it's in order to leave also his teachings for us. So we could use it and we could apply in our daily lives. Especially this one, the parable of the sower. What he says in there, he says that the word of Jesus, when it comes to us, the word of Jesus that he left for us, if we don't understand it and if we don't experience it in our five senses, means that kind of we sort of wasting. We're not using it in not proper way, but we're not using it in a way how we actually should and how we could. Because as we know, Jesus came here and he left the commandments. He taught. He left his thoughts um, through like so many parables. And this parable, the parable of the sower, is where he brings to us the concept that we need to work on, the concept that he has left for us and bring it into our practicable life. What do I mean by that? Well, if we do a kind of an analogy with the parable of the sower, where he says, the sower went out with a lot of seeds, and some seeds fell on stony ground, some seeds fell between the thorns, and these seeds did not grow, did not develop themselves. And then we start thinking, hang on a minute. Of course, Jesus was not talking about seeds and developing seeds. Jesus was talking about us as human beings, what we have to do, how we need to develop ourselves. And what he was saying is, as human beings, we are the grounds, and the seeds are his teachings, the teachings that he has left for us for so many years. And we need to start working on those seeds that are actually already inside of us, or some of them we already acquired throughout the years. Many of us, if we here today, if we searching for more spirituality, it's because we already have evolved a certain amount. And if we have evolved, it's because we have already acquired concepts. We have learned from school, from different social groups, from our family, and we have been developing ourselves. We have been developing these concepts into real world, into we have putting this concept into our practicable lives, which what he means at the last part. Some seeds, when fell into good ground, what happens? The seeds will flourish, will grow, roots will be created and will go deep. And what happens, when we have a tree, for example, with good roots, it's hard to remove. It's hard to try, even if we try to remove that tree, if we try to push it from the ground, it's stuck in there. Or I shouldn't say stuck, but it's well grounded. I think that's exactly the right word to say. It's well grounded. It's developed somehow its roots. And that's what Jesus would like us to do. He left us so many concepts. He left commandments. He left the teachings. However, we have we have been using it. However, it's about time that we need to start going a little bit deep inside and using all the concepts that we have and putting it to practice. How? For example, I asked myself this week, how many books have I read about spiritism? As we're talking about spiritism, I was like, okay, Alex, how many books have you read? And then I was like, okay, I've read a few, I've read this book, that book. And then I was like, have you had the time or have you applied all those lessons, all those teachings into your life? And then I'm like, And I would like to put this question to you as well. All the knowledge, all these studies that you have done so far in about spiritism, even about uni, about anything else that you like, that generates interest to you, have you brought all those concepts into your practicable life, into your normal life? Think about it. And why I'm asking this? Because during the week, I'm preparing this chat that we're having. I watched a few different YouTube videos as well about the parable of the sower, and there was one presenter. He's not a spiritualist. His name is John Bill. He works for a different church, a specific church in America. However, he had a very interesting concept about the parable of the sower, which I took some information from him as well. And where he was saying, observe how our world nowadays is a world where we live based on concepts. We have a lot of theory. And when I say that and what he said, he meant, you know, we wherever we go, we are teaching. Someone is teaching us. We have a lot of theories. Everyone has theories about this, about that. However, when we actually compare the theory that exists or that someone has taught us with actually reality, it may be very different. And he made a comment which I found extremely interesting, and this is a point that I usually mention at work as well. And the example that he gave was, he said, you can go to a business school and you can be taught a specific subject by someone who has actually never been in the field, someone who has never had, someone actually who has never experienced what the person is actually talking. And that is so true because this past week, we were at work and we were talking about concepts, and we had a book. We had to bring a book to find any specific law, something to teach us as well in accounting. And while we were doing it, we were like, hang on a minute, this theory that is in the book, actually we cannot apply because it just doesn't work, you know. And sometimes that's what happens in many different fields, not only business. I'm mentioning business because that's my area and that's what I studied and that's what I went through this week. But perhaps in your own field, in your own experience, you can think about it and you can see how it actually relates. That theory that you may have studied doesn't apply. But then at the same time, I was thinking, have we been applying all the concepts, all the theory that we find in the gospel, that we find in any other book about spiritism, about any other religion, into our lives? And I would like you to think about it as well, because I asked myself this question during this week, and I'll put this question to you now. During this week, how much do you think you put into practice a little bit, not much, a little bit of the theory that you have acquired in terms of spiritism, in terms of religion, that theory that actually could help you evolve a bit more as a human being, that could take you to a different level, that could, help you growing, spreading your roots, and even prepping your ground to receive more seeds. Because there is another part in here on the parable of the sower where Jesus mentioned this part. In order to receive more seeds, the ground needs to be prepared. The ground needs to be ready. So sometimes we need to reflect. If you're wanting something, or if you're trying to, I don't know what you may be wanting lately, but think about it. Is your ground prepared and ready to receive this thing that you're wanting? Because sometimes the thing that you want, it's around the corner. It's just surrounding us. However, because the ground somehow is not prepared, we are not receiving. This thing is not coming into our life, whatever it may be that you may be expecting. And that's the point that we just need to observe and analyze. Maybe my ground is not ready to receive what I need. So, how can I prepare my ground? Do I need to study a little bit more? Do I need to analyze myself a little bit more? Reflect on Jesus' teachings. Reflect on everything that I have learned and observe if I'm applying it. Kind of. Am I being a good person? Am I helping others? This Johnson Bill that I mentioned before during his lecture, he was saying, why should we wait for someone else new to come here today and say, oh, I've got a revelation, and then this person brings us this new revelation and we all go, wow. And this new revelation, it's actually a concept, because he would bring something. Let's give us an example. He would come and say, all right, if you all want to achieve this specific thing that you're searching for, you're gonna look for someone poorer than you, or someone that is in need and that is worse than you, because sometimes we think, oh, but I'm in need. Yes, you are in need. However, there are other people that are in worse situations. And he also mentions, I know sometimes he says, not looking at people with worse problems than yours will make you feel better. It's not to make you feel better. It's just to help you appreciate what you have at the moment and work with what you have. Work, water the seeds that you already have. Work on that seed to make it flourish, to make it, grow, give fruits. So then you can get ready, you can prep the ground to receive other seeds, because that's our life. Now that today we are wherever we may be, having problems, being happy. Tomorrow, we don't know. The thing will change, but this situation will change based on how much we work, how much work and how much effort we put in. Because sometimes it's very easy. We can just sit behind talking about as human beings, and we can just say, oh, you know what? My life is good. I don't have any necessity. I don't have any physical problems, any spiritual problems. Everything's just great. Everything's just good. Not great. Everything's just good. So I don't need to do anything. No, that's wrong. Because we've already read in another chapter of the gospel that it doesn't need, we don't, it's not because we don't have problems that we're not going to do any better. We're not going to try to evolve. I'm trying to remember, I won't remember the specific words mentioned here on the gospel, but as there is a part that says, not doing wrong doesn't mean that you're doing right. To do right You need to exercise. You need to keep helping others. If you're feeling good, if you don't have any issues, that's the opportunity that we have to go out there and put into practice all the learnings that we have, being charitable, help others, do some more studies. If you're ready, if you think, oh, I've already applied, I'm feeling good, I've already applied all the concepts that I have, I already know. And okay, so if you already know that part, let's go to the next one. Find something new because you're going to keep evolving. Don't wait until the wave of sadness or the wave of problems may come to you and, may push you, make you move. The time to move is now. And what I found interesting as well in this study, the parable of the sower, is exactly about this. Sometimes questioning yourself, why do you have, we have to think in two parts. Do I have too much theory and not enough practice, not enough experience? If I don't have enough experience, for example, what is the point of me or you reading so many books, reading the gospel, reading like the Spirit's book, studying it back to front so many times, if we actually don't apply? We need to, abstract the concepts and go out. Like, for example, what is the main point for you when you read some chapter? What is the main point when you read this chapter? It doesn't mean that you actually have to go out. You need to leave your house to do something for someone else out there. You may have someone else inside of your house that just needs you too. Sometimes putting into practice the theory means just listening to your husband, listening to your wife, listening to your kids, being patient to your brother, to your sister. It's not easy. I know it's not easy. All of us, we are human beings. But sometimes our neighbors may need some help, smiling. And sometimes, maybe even yourself may need your own help. Think about it. Because we read, we study that we need to be loving, caring, charitable. But you need to start within yourself. If you're not charitable to yourself first, how can you be charitable to others? If you don't work on the seeds that you have inside you, how can you work in seeds that are in others? Or how can you be a sower for others? So remember, maybe we should start within ourselves. Look at yourself. What do I need to do for myself to feel better, to evolve? Because ultimately, what we're here for is to grow, it's to evolve as spirits. We are spirits, as I like to always repeat it. We are spirits incarnated. We are having an earthly experience, and very soon we may have another experience in another world. We won't be here. But the thing is, we won't die. We just change places. And in the parable of the sower, that's all that Jesus was asking us through his teachings. To develop it. Work on it. We have a good ground. He already gave us the best ground, which is your body, my body, which is who you are, who I am. And now it's entirely up to us to do something better with it. And to do it, if you're already feeling that you are good within yourself, start helping others. Start maybe, looking around. What can I do to help my neighbor? What can I do to help society? What can I do to help my family? How can I be better? Sometimes we think, oh, but it's too hard, now we've been locked in for this COVID thing, which luckily now it's getting hopefully here in Australia at least, but we still have the problem around the world, so we can still pray. We can still help people in need. When we go supermarket, we can buy something. If we see someone on the street, we can make sure that our seed is being watered, and we can just buy some food, offer food. There is a bit of work that needs to be done. It's not easy. It's not easy. And that's when we come back to that part, that the concept, it is not the same when we apply. Saying here, I know that. Saying it's very easy, but we need to go out and work. And that's what I do to myself too, because I'm like, there is no point for me to be here talking with you guys and not applying it. And that's what sometimes I push myself. I'm like, okay, you need to do a bit better. And I go, what can I do better? How can I make these seeds that I have within me to grow? But coming back, sometimes I also feel that I need help. So then search for help. Call your friends, go to the spirit center, contact someone who you feel comfortable with talking. Look after yourself, because I can't go and help others if I'm not if I'm not feeling great. I can't be a sower for others if my seeds are being, suffocated, I've been killed, if my seeds are dying. So always remember your seeds. How are your seeds? How are you looking after your ground? How are you preparing it? Maybe you already have prepared enough. You already have enough theory. You've been already at the center so many times. Maybe you already have acquired so many teachings. We already know a lot, or we have access to information. And once we have access and we acquired it, it's time to put into place. It's time to put into your practicable life. Otherwise, these seeds, as he mentioned in the other part here at the end of the parable, it becomes vulnerable to fail or to theft. And when he says becomes vulnerable to theft, it's like not that anyone will come and steal it from us. It's just that, it may die. And it's always there. We have to remember that, this theory, even it's like going to uni. And then, for example, you may have studied, I don't know, business. Let's say, give this example again. And you never worked in business. You worked in a total different place, in total different field. But then one day, after many, many years, you go back onto it. And you may feel rusty, but you still have it. And that's what God and Jesus said. The seeds are always there within us. It's sitting in our heart, in our mind. We just need to remember how to action it, how to reach it when we need it, and flourish it, and water, and do a little bit of work. Because once we do a little bit of work, it will grow. Then we have our roots, and once we have our roots, nothing will be able to, push us from one side to the other. It's like when we have a kind of, if we have enough theory and we have mixed theory with the experience, when the problems they come again, you go, hang on a minute, I've already been through some other problems. I know how to keep calm. I have my faith. I have my grounds in this religion, in that religion, and I know how to search for help. Yeah, we can get through it. Because always remember, we're gonna have ups and downs constantly. And if we have the ground, remember, if we have the ground strong as a house, you can be like a big storm, a big storm from upside down, like so many kilometers. You will still, you stay still and strong. And this is the point, staying strong all the time. Not all the time, but staying strong, because once you acquire that information, you put into practice, you will feel strong. You're like, you know what? Yep, I've been through this. I can get through that too, whatever it may be. So that was my message for today. That was my understanding. I hope we all, can keep on um, working on the theory, on acquiring more theory in more concepts, but at the same time that we don't forget to apply these concepts into our real life. We don't forget to help others. we don't forget to help our family. We don't forget to help ourselves first, so then we can keep evolving always. If you always need help, remember as well, the center is still here. We have volunteers that you can contact. If you don't know how, you can always get in touch here via Facebook. Ask us anything that is going on. We will direct you for someone who can contact you. And don't feel alone, never, okay? Because we are all here together always. Thank you. And now, to finalize, I always like to say another little prayer as well, where usually I like to close my eyes. I invite you to close yours, or you can keep your eyes open. And let's take this opportunity to thank our guardian angels who are with us pretty much 24/7, guiding us, directing us through the good and the hard times. Let's ask Jesus and God and the good spirits to help and support us on watering the seeds that we already have within us so we can flourish them. We can always work on them and apply all those concepts, all that theory that has been given to us, has been left since many, many years ago, and it is still valid nowadays. So we can always put them into practice. We can help others, help ourselves. We can hopefully keep on evolving every day, piece by piece. Let's also vibrate in this moment for all countries. Let's vibrate. Let's think and visualize Australia. Let's vibrate for Brazil and all the other countries who are still suffering with the COVID. Let's vibrate for all people that are in hospitals, all those who are in needs and don't have a place to go home. Vibrate for all the kids who have lost their family. Vibrate for all alcoholics or people with HIV or any other kind of disease that need help and support. May God stay with them, bless them. And let's finally vibrate for ourselves. Let's imagine on the top of our head a white light. And this white light is full of health, energy, whatever each one of us may need. This light has all this energy, all these positive thoughts into it, and this energy emerge into us and it touches us, helping us, curing us, and making us strong. And let's thank God, thank Jesus, thank Paul and Stephen for all support and all guide and all help. So be it. Thank you, everyone. Let me just have a quick check in here if anyone has typed anything. No? Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. It's great. Hopefully, very soon we'll be back together at the center. We're still remaining online every Saturday. So, to keep you updated, just keep checking here on Facebook, on Instagram, and we will be, letting you know once we go back. We still don't have a date yet, but very soon we'll be there. Also, I would like to thank everyone who always help contribute towards the breakfast campaign that we have. We're still doing it. We're doing for almost a similar number. Usually we do for 80 to 100 people when we go out on the streets. We're still doing it at the Vic Market, which is a different location. And in there, we are doing only between 50 and 60. So we did last month. This month, we're also doing it. And it's great as well because we have given ideas to other groups. And now there is another group, which is a person who is a member of the center as well. And this person is also providing in alternative days kind of not breakfast packs but packs with food as well, non-perishable food to people who live on the street, and these people appreciate so much. So thank you very much. I hope you all have like a nice evening and a good week ahead. Thank you so much. Bye bye.